This semester we're going to move from Microsoft Word into Excel. And on your iPad you should have an icon that looks like this. It's the Excel icon. So if you open it, you will see that it looks familiar to you. You still have the new, the recent, shared, open, and setting options just like what we did for Microsoft Word. I'm going to show you an example of a spreadsheet just so you get the overall picture of it. You can see here a spreadsheet allows you to enter numerical data into rows or columns, and then we're going to use this data for calculation, maybe graphs, some statistical analysis, and so forth. You will see that Excel spreadsheets are very important and can be very valuable to you. If you look at this one right here, I'm just going to show you a quick example. You can see that these are an example of 5 individuals and 5 test scores. You can see that Elevator right here scored a 25 on test number 4, and his average is 70.6. If he were to score 100, his average would have jumped up to 85%. And you can see test 4 also jumps up in that number also. I will undo it and you can see how I go back. And you will notice that there are calculations linked to the cells that are there. And so when you change a number, your numbers will all update real easily. So that's kind of the broad view of a spreadsheet. If you look at the spreadsheet, this whole thing is called a worksheet. You can see that at the bottom here, you can have a number of worksheets. If I were to click on sheet 2 and sheet 3, you can see that they are blank, but worksheet number 1 has some information on. It's like in math when you have a workbook. This whole thing is a workbook, and as you flip through the pages, those are your worksheets. Rows. You can see that the rows go from left to right, and they're identified by the numbers. The topmost row is 1, and it goes all the way down to over 1 million rows. So it is really huge. As you scroll through here, you can see there are rows and rows and rows. Columns, therefore, are identified by the letters of the alphabet. It starts with the letter A. Once it gets past 26, then it is AA, AB, AC, and it goes all the way to XFD, which is over 16,000 columns. So in reality, one worksheet has a lot of rectangles. Those rectangles right here are called cells. You will notice that this particular cell has a green box around it. That is your active cell, the cell that we are going to work in. There is also a formula bar up here. You will see when I click on a cell here, you can see there is a number in there. If I click on this one, you can see that it has a name in there. That is our formula bar, and the formula bar will show you what is in your cell. You will also notice that you have your menu up here, just like what we did before with Word. As I click on different menu items, you will get different options underneath it. There's also a button in this corner. If I click on it, it selects everything. And we will use that when we start changing our data that's in there. Okay, moving around on your spreadsheet, if I am just going to use Excel without the keyboard, I can just click in a cell and I would be ready to type in it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to create a new blank workbook. Okay, you can see that the active cell is up in column A, row 1. That is your cell reference. That would be A1. If I were to move the active cell to here, it would be in column E, row 6. So the cell reference would be E6. If I were to move it here, it's column C, row 11. So the cell reference would be C11. If I'm going to move around in my spreadsheet, I can just click and I can just point and touch the screen anywhere. If I have a keyboard, if I hit return, I'm going down. If I hit tab, I'm going to the right. I can also use any of my arrow keys if I want to just stick with my keyboard, which is really handy to do rather than always taking our fingers off the keyboard when we are typing the stuff. There's a number of different things that you can enter into a cell. So if you go up to cell A1 and you type your name in there, you will see that you can enter text. If I type the word the and hit enter, you will see that the text enters on the left side of the cell. If I type the word and, you can see it continues to stay on the left side of the cell. In cell A4 now, if I were to enter a number like number 1 and hit return, numbers always enter on the right side of the cell. So if I typed in 444 and hit return, you will see that it always enters on the right side of the cell. We can also enter dates, times, and formulas, but for right now, all we're going to do is enter text or numbers. Something you will also notice, I'm going to go down here. If I type in Valley City High School, and I hit return to enter and go down to the next line, you will see that if the information is too large for the cell, it will spill over into the next cell as long as there's nothing in there. Okay, if I click on cell B8 now, right there, B8, and I type the word highliners in there and hit enter, you will now see that only Valley City ends up in cell A8. But if I were to click on that or touch it so it becomes active, you will see that everything I typed is still in the cell. There isn't enough space for it to show it all. Okay, if I go back to the word highliners and I hit delete, you will see now Valley City High School will show up because there's nothing in the cell that's adjoining them. And we'll go through column width and row height at a later date, but this is all I want you to do for right now. To make corrections in a cell, I can do one of two things. If I go up to your name, I can click up in the formula bar, I can hit delete and make my correction to maybe the name. Okay. I can also go into cell A1. Hang on a second, messed up a little bit here. If I just select it like that and type another thing, it will replace what I have in there. So again, it's real easy to edit cells and do things like that. That's as far as we're going to go today. Now I would like you to go to your home page in Canvas, look at your assignment, and complete it.